Hello, all you wonderful people out there, and welcome to my Media Museum. Today, we're going to be looking at some Beatles 45 RPM vinyl records. These are the ones that I pulled out of my remaining mixed up boxes. I have had quite a few Beatles filmed in boxes 1 through 9, and I'm not going to repeat those here, but starting off here with this batch, we've got Love Me Do on the Tolly Records label, and the B-Sides label is pretty damaged, but it is P.S. I Love You, and we know that for certain because here we have the Capitol Records version of the same release with Love Me Do on the A side and P.S. I Love You on the B side. And you can see there's a considerable amount of wear. Somebody was definitely using the old stacker on these. These were probably played quite a bit back in the day when they came out by somebody that loved them. And both of them, the Tolly and the Capitol, was both seeing quite a bit of wear. All right. And then we've got a Swan Records label of She Loves You. And I like the way it says don't drop out. You know these were marketed at school kids. They definitely wanted to keep kids in school, finish your graduation, get that diploma. I thought that's kind of funny. But I think this is the only Swan one that I have, at least in this batch. The B-side of that being I'll Get You. I did go through and put all these in the order that they came out. And I'm going to try and do it in just 2 videos. I've split them in half, and we'll see if we can pull it off here. I Want to Hold Your Hand being the A side, and I Saw Her Standing There on the B side, which somebody's got marked with the number 40, so maybe that was number 40 in their collection or their 40th favorite one. Who knows? But here's another copy of I Want to Hold Your Hand, and there is a I Saw Her Standing There label without a number sticker on it for you. So if you want to see that. Now here we've got a VJ Records. The Beatles did have singles out on a number of different distributors over the years. And Do You Want to Know a Secret? On VJ, with the B-side being Thank You Girl. And yeah, there again, you got quite a bit of wear on that label. These things are going back to the 60s, you know. They're getting old, just like some of us. Now here we've got Aint She Sweet by the Beatles, which the B-side of this one is with Tony Sheridan. So this wasn't actually on one of their albums. It was on a Tony Sheridan album that he tried to make money off of after the fact that the Beatles made it so big. The B-side here being Nobody's Child, and that might be why you don't really recognize it. It is a vocal, but it's got Tony Sheridan sing it, whereas on this one you see they pointed out John Lennon was singing Ain't She Sweet. See, you're walking down the street. And then here we've got basically, it's considered an EP. It's Capitol Records 4 by the Beatles. And there is a page on Wikipedia for this specific release. We've got Roll Over Beethoven and All My Lovin' on the A side. And I know it's the A side thanks to Wikipedia's information page. And the B side, This Boy and Please Mr. Postman. So that's kind of a cool 45 there to have. You get 4 by the Beatles. And I like the way they put Paul McCartney, John Lennon, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr. They even gave you all 4 of their names. So 4 artists, 4 songs, 4 Beatles. All right. Next up, we've got I'll Cry Instead. And the B-side on that one is I'm Happy Just to Dance with You, which is interesting because even though it was a later release, I bumped it up to put it in, basically in sequence. Here is I'm Happy Just to Dance with You. This is a reissue of the song from years later. It's still 1 minute and 58 seconds long. And it's noted as 1:49 on the original release here, so I don't know where the extra 10 seconds came from. But the B-side of this is a Beatles movie medley. So it's a medley of songs that were in the movies, Help, Hard Day's Night, you know. And I think that's kind of cool. I've got 2 copies of it, and they are the exact same, so there's really no point in showing you both. Other than that, I do have 2 nice looking copies of that one. And it's an interesting listen. Next up, we got And I Love Her. And this is jumping back in time again, because that Beatles medley was from later, but because it's got the I'm Happy Just to Dance With You, I wanted to put it, you know, next to that one. And the B-side here on this one, If I Fell in Love with You, Promise to Be True. And next up, Help, I Need Somebody Help, not just anybody. And you'll notice it's in mono. It's got it noted as being in mono. That's interesting. A lot of the Beatles' early stuff was in mono, and they went back and done some stuff to re-release a lot of it in stereo. But the 45 here, B-side, I'm Down, also noted as being in mono. And the next one up, we've got He's a Real Nowhere Man, again, noted in mono. So this has got an originally released February of '66 date there on it. So this is clearly a reissue one. The purple label might have given that away, but you know, it's still really good 45 to have. The Beatles, What Goes On the B-side. Again, it's got an originally released date. It is still the mono version. And somebody paid $2.99 for that sucker at some point. It's got another price tag under it, so I don't know if it went up or down in price. It's anybody's guess. All right, so next up, we've got Paperback Writer. And the B-side of that being Rain. And if I remember correctly, I'm not 100% sure, but I do think that Paperback Writer was a non-album single. Ended up being on Past Masters, where they put out 2 volumes of that on vinyl and CD, where they compiled a lot of the Beatles non-album singles into albums. And I'm pretty darn positive, actually, that Paperback Writer was on that. So here we've got Yellow Submarine with the B-side of Eleanor Rigby, which I absolutely love Eleanor Rigby. Eleanor Rigby. I thought that was a really, really great song by the Beatles. I remember singing that in elementary school. In music class, we sang a lot of Beatles songs. I don't know if my teacher was just a big Beatles fan or it was part of the curriculum or what, but yeah, we sang Yellow Submarine when I was in elementary school for sure. And then here is the Apple label. So I'm pretty sure that this was the original release and this is a re-release when the Beatles got a little more control of their catalog and started, releasing a lot of re-releases. So you've got the Apple label and you've got the Capitol labels for both here. Eleanor Rigby. And next up, All You Need Is Love. Dun da 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 dun. And the B-side of All You Need Is Love was Baby You're a Rich Man. And I like the way it's got 30-cent price tag stamped on there. I doubt that was original from the store. That was probably some reseller that didn't have any qualms about damaging the product. You're not going to peel that off. That's actually ink stamped right on there, 30 cents. So they didn't even try to put it on there nice and neat. It's upside down, sloppy. All right, Lady Madonna, Children at Your Feet. B-side of that one was The Inner Light. All right, and next up, we've got the Capitol Records version of the Beatles' Hey Jude, which we'll be looking at the Apple one after this. And the B-side of it is Revolution. And at least they didn't change the A and B sides, because here is the Apple Records Hey Jude, and the B-side on it is still Revolution. And I've got another copy, but I wanted to show you this sleeve real quick. I don't think it's Beatles related, but it is a different sleeve that I haven't seen a bajillion times, so I wanted to take just a quick second and show that. And you'll see the other copy I have of Hey Jude. It's got some label damage, scuffing or whatever, but I do think that the Revolution side might look a little bit better, so I was kind of torn on which ones to show. So there, I just went ahead and showed both. All right, so the last one in this half of the stack, and we're probably going to go ahead and end it here because I'm pretty positive we'll be able to make it through the other half of stack in under 12 minutes, which is my goal. I like to keep these videos at about 12 minutes. But we got Obla-Dee, Obla-Da, Life Goes On, yeah! And the B-side of that being Julia. And you'll notice it's from the album The Beatles. They're not noting it as the White Album. They're just calling it The Beatles. So that's interesting to point out as well, because we all know that now as having been from the White Album. But it wasn't called the White Album. It was just called The Beatles, a double album set released at the time. All right, so there's going to be a part 2 here. And it will have some of the solo work as well, because I figured the Beatles and the Beatles solo, they go together, you know, hand in hand. So I've covered a whole bunch of their solo work in boxes 1 through 9. It's going to be really heavy on the George Harrison in the part 2, but come on back and join us for those, please. We'll see you then.